All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yes, hello.
Today, we are going to be looking at the Civil War.
Okay.
But we're not going to be looking at the battles or the generals.
Right.
We're going to be taking a look at the spies.
Ooh.
And not just any spies.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at women spies during the Civil War.
Now that's interesting.
Yes, and the source material that we're going to be taking a look at for this is a book by Karen Abbott called Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy.
I love that title.
Yeah, it's a really good title.
It really draws you in.
So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any other deep dives.
Please do.
Okay, so to set the stage, the Civil War was a time of obviously great turmoil and division in the United States.
It's a very difficult time.
And women played a very important role in the war effort on both sides.
Yes, they did.
But their contributions often go overlooked,
That's very true.
especially when it comes to espionage. So Karen Abbott, in her book, really shines a light on 4 women in particular.
I'm excited to hear about them.
Okay, so we have Belle Boyd, who was a Confederate spy, Emma Edmonds, who was a Union spy, Rose O'Neal Greenhow, also a Confederate spy, and Elizabeth Van Lew, who was a Union spy.
Wow, what a diverse group.
Yes, and they all came from very different backgrounds.
Right.
I mean, you have Belle Boyd, who was a Southern socialite.
Okay.
You have Emma Edmonds, who was a farm girl from Canada.
Wow.
Rose O'Neal Greenhow was a charming widow who used her social connections to gather intelligence.
Interesting.
And Elizabeth Van Lew was a wealthy abolitionist who used her home as a safe house for escaped prisoners of war and a headquarters for her spy ring.
It's amazing how they were all able to use their unique positions in society to contribute to the war effort.
Exactly. And I think one of the most interesting things about these women is that they were all willing to break the rules and defy societal expectations.
That took a lot of courage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at a time when women were expected to be subservient and domestic, these women were out there risking their lives for what they believed in.
And they did it in such clever and creative ways.
So let's start by talking about Belle Boyd.
All right, the rebel spy.
Yeah, she was known as the Rebel Spy, and she was only 17 years old when the Civil War broke out.
Wow, 17.
Yeah, and she was a very strong supporter of the Confederacy,
Okay.
and she used her charm and her wit to gather information from Union soldiers.
I bet she was good at that.
Oh, yeah, she was very good at it. She would flirt with them.
Oh, she would flirt with them.
Yeah, she would eavesdrop on their conversations, and she even managed to smuggle important documents past Union lines.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and there's this one story about her that I just love.
Okay, I'm ready.
So in 1861, a Union soldier tried to raise a flag over her home in Martinsburg, Virginia.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and she was so outraged by this that she shot him.
She shot him.
Yeah, she shot him and killed him.
Wow.
I know, and this act of defiance made her a hero in the Confederacy, and it also launched her career as a spy.
She didn't mess around.
No, she did not.
She knew what she believed in.
Yeah, and she was not afraid to fight for it.
So what happened to her after that?
Well, she continued to work as a spy for the Confederacy,
Okay.
and she was eventually captured by Union forces and imprisoned.
Oh, no.
But she was later released,
Thank goodness.
and she went on to write a memoir about her experiences as a spy.
I bet that's an interesting read.
Oh, it is very interesting.
All right, so let's move on to another spy.
Yes, let's talk about Emma Edmonds.
The soldier spy.
Okay, so she was born in Canada.
Oh, didn't realize that.
Yeah, but she was a strong supporter of the Union cause.
Okay.
And when the war broke out, she decided to do something pretty drastic.
Oh, what was that?
She disguised herself as a man and enlisted in the Union Army.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know. And she calls herself Frank Thompson.
Frank Thompson.
Yeah, and she served as a soldier for over 2 years. And during that time, she participated in several battles. And she also worked as a spy.
So she saw combat.
Oh yeah, she saw combat firsthand.
That's so dangerous.
Yeah, it was incredibly dangerous, and she had to be very careful not to be discovered.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, she even once disguised herself as a black slave in order to infiltrate Confederate territory.
How did she pull that off?
I know, it's an amazing story. She used silver nitrate to darken her skin.
Wow.
And she even went so far as to learn how to speak with a Southern accent.
That's dedication.
Yeah, she was a master of disguise.
And she was risking her life every day, right?
Absolutely. If she'd been discovered, she would have been hanged as a spy.
That's terrifying.
So after the war, she wrote a memoir about her experiences, and it became a bestseller.
Really?
Yeah, and it's still in print today.
I'll have to check that out.
So next up we have Rose O'Neal Greenhow.
Oh, The widow spy.
She was a socialite who lived in Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
and she was very well connected.
I bet she was.
Yeah, she knew all the important people in government, and she used those connections to gather intelligence for the Confederacy.
How does she do that?
Well, she would host lavish parties,
Okay.
and she would invite all the powerful politicians and military officers.
Right.
And then she would just eavesdrop on their conversations and pick up any information she could.
She was very sly.
Yeah, she was also very good at using her feminine wiles to get information.
Oh, I bet.
She would flirt with men.
Okay.
And sometimes even start romantic relationships with them in order to get them to reveal secrets.
She was using everything in her arsenal.
Yeah, and she was very effective at it. She was one of the most valuable spies for the Confederacy.
So did she ever get caught?
Well, she was eventually placed under house arrest by Union authorities,
Okay.
but she still managed to smuggle information out to the Confederacy.
How'd she do that?
She used her young daughter to carry messages.
That's amazing.
I know they would hide messages in her doll's clothes and her hair ribbons.
Ah, that's so clever.
So eventually Greenhow was exiled to the Confederacy, and she continued to work as a spy until her death in 1864.
How did she die?
Well, she drowned when her ship ran aground off the coast of North Carolina while trying to run a Union blockade.
Oh my goodness, what a way to go.
I know, it's a very tragic end to a very fascinating life.
So our last spy is Elizabeth Van Lew.
Yes, the abolitionist spy.
So she was a Union spy, right?
Yes, and she was a very interesting character.
Okay.
She was a wealthy Richmond resident.
All right, so she was right in the heart of the Confederacy.
Yeah, she was, and she was also a staunch abolitionist,
Interesting.
which made her very unpopular in Richmond.
I can imagine.
But she used her social standing as a cover to operate a vast spy ring right under the noses of the Confederate authorities.
That's so bold.
Yeah, it was very risky, but she was very committed to the Union cause.
So how did she run her spy ring?
Well, she had a network of informants who would provide her with information on Confederate troop movements and other military secrets.
Right.
And she would then pass that information on to Union commanders.
And was her home a safe house?
Yes. She used her home as a safe house for escaped prisoners of war and a headquarters for her spy ring.
That must have been nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah. It was very dangerous.
But also incredible.
Yeah. And she was very good at what she did.
So she was never caught.
Well, the Confederate authorities suspected her of espionage,
Okay.
but they could never prove anything.
She must have been very careful.
Yeah, she was very clever, and she was always one step ahead of them.
Wow, so she survived the war.
Yes, and after the war, President Ulysses S. Grant appointed her postmaster of Richmond.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a very prestigious position, and it was a way for Grant to thank her for her service to the Union.
So these 4 women were all incredibly brave and resourceful.
Absolutely. They risked their lives to serve their country.
And they did it in very different ways.
Yeah, and I think what's really amazing about them is that they were all just ordinary women.
Right? They weren't trained spies.
No, they were just regular people who were caught up in extraordinary circumstances.
But they chose to act.
Exactly, and they made a real difference in the course of the war.
So how did their actions impact the war? I mean, can we know that?
Well, it's impossible to say for sure.
Right.
But there's no doubt that their intelligence gathering helped both the Union and the Confederacy.
Okay.
I mean, Belle Boyd, for example, is credited with providing information that helped the Confederates win the First Battle of Bull Run.
Wow.
And Elizabeth Van Lew's intelligence network is said to have been instrumental in the Union victory at Petersburg.
It's incredible to think that these women played such a pivotal role in such a major conflict.
Absolutely, and I think their stories really challenge our understanding of women's roles in history.
That's for sure.
I mean, we often think of women as being passive bystanders during times of war.
Right.
But these women were anything but passive.
They were active participants. They were agents of change.
Exactly, and they showed incredible courage and resilience in the face of danger.
And their stories remind us that history is not just about battles and generals.
Yeah, it's also about the ordinary people who make extraordinary choices.
And what can we learn from their stories today?
Well, I think there are a lot of lessons we can learn from these women.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I think they teach us that women are capable of anything.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were spies, soldiers, nurses, doctors, and more.
Right.
And they made significant contributions to the war effort on both sides.
So we should never underestimate the power of women to make a difference.
Exactly. And I think they also teach us the importance of courage and resilience.
Right. They faced incredible challenges.
Yeah, they risked their lives for what they believed in, and they never gave up.
And they also teach us the importance of thinking outside the box.
Absolutely. They had to be creative and resourceful in order to succeed as spies.
Yeah, and they were constantly challenging the status quo.
Exactly. And I think those are all qualities that are still relevant today.
Yeah, I think so too.
So if you're interested in learning more about these incredible women, I highly recommend checking out Karen Abbott's book, Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy.
Yes, it's a great read.
It's a fascinating look at the lives of these four women and the role they played in one of the most important events in American history.
And it's a reminder that there are always more stories to be told and that history is full of surprises.
So until next time, keep on learning and exploring.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.